The Living Zen-podcast is a gift from the members and associates of the Victoria Zen Centre to you. If you enjoy it, please be sure to let your friends know about Living Zen. If you'd like to support our community, here are a few ways that you can do it. Download the Living Zen podcast app for iPod, iPhone, or Android. You can also purchase additional Zen Talks by Venerable Eshu on iTunes or Amazon.com. One of the most meaningful ways to show your support is by joining our Sangha as an associate. Your commitment of $10 a month will ensure that offerings like the Living Zen podcast and our online e-Zendo will continue to be available around the world to everyone with an interest in truly living Zen. To become an associate, please visit our website at www.zenwest.ca and click on the membership tab. Thank you for your support. So I just want to welcome everyone back, and I want to welcome Lisa, although I have to give a bunch of people trouble because first-timers are supposed to come and get an orientation, so somehow you snuck through the radar defense system. So you'll have to fend for yourself a little bit. So the form or the school of Zen practice that we use here at the Victoria Zen Centre is called the Rinzai school. And there's a bunch of form that we use. And there are, they're all very practical aspects that we use this form for. And I think maybe even after just a couple of sittings, why might be starting to sink in just a little bit. As we sit, this practice is really fundamentally simple in that our practice is simply to be as present as we can manage, as completely engaged with what we're doing as we're doing it. And I think we all sort of it's very easy to kind of recognize or appreciate the value of being completely present with what we're doing as we're doing it. And we can see the applications in our work and in our relationships. But in Zen practice, we recognize that these things, like our work and our relationships, are amazingly complex. And as we go through a day of work or an evening of making relationships or a day in the life, 1,000 thoughts arise in our minds and 1,000 feelings in our heart and physical sensations and smells and tastes and sights. And it's very difficult to stay connected with what we're doing as we go through our day. So we come back to this very simple practice of just sitting. We can't really come up with much more simple activity than just sort of sitting in a straight posture, kind of respiring, breathing, sort of letting the organs function. So we engage in this practice of sitting straight with our eyes open and down, just open, all of the senses open, not active in any way, but actively being this activity of sitting. And what we find is when we reduce things down to even this really simple, basic function, we're kind of drifting in and out of our life even here. Sometimes we're able to completely engage with the physical sensations of the body, all of the senses. We're able to engage with the activity of the breath and to be completely present. And then we find that we catch ourselves over and over again off somewhere, off in a thought or off in some feeling or off following one of our senses, a smell or a sound we hear or something we see or looking at. Come back, re-find this sort of center point, this center of balance. And the first activity that we do, the first place where we try to practice this coming back to where we are is in what we call kinhin, or walking meditation. And so all of the things, all of the forms that we use in Zen, they look, as somebody who's looking at it from the outside, really simple, and you can't really sort of see what's going on just by looking at it. But if we take this stillness that we develop in practice and we apply it to the activities that we're engaged in, maybe we start to see a little bit of what's going on. So in this walking meditation, we are manifesting, we're engaging in an activity together with other people in an environment. And this is not a sort of metaphor, but this is how we go about living our lives. We're always in an environment and making relationship with an environment. And we're always making relationship with other beings, people, animals, objects. And we often like to think that we don't have any effect on the environment that we're in, and the things that we do really don't impact the people around us. But when we engage in this simple activity of walking meditation, we are immersed in the truth of our experience. We can't extricate ourselves from our environment. We can't remove ourselves from our relationships. The simplest things that we do impact all of it. So this simple instruction that I was repeating over and over again, this question, are you in step? What we see is this simple activity that we're asked to do. Just pay attention, open up our senses, keep in step with the person in front of us. Okay, that's easy. So we look down and say, okay, they're left, right, okay, left, right, no problem. Maybe we manage for 3 or 4 steps. And then we start thinking about something, or then something catches us. We think, oh, this is stupid, or oh, I wish I could go back to sitting. Meditation, seated meditation is real meditation. I don't know what this walking business is. This is silly. But then we look down and go, oh, I'm out of step. I've left the world. I've disengaged with my life and floated off into my mind, thinking about past or future, assessing and judging, but essentially removed myself from the activity of my life, which is continuing to roll on. And what we have to understand is that all of this world behind us that's walking and trying to manifest harmoniously with us has now also come out of step because we've disengaged with our life. We've had this impact on our environment, on our relationships, as simple as they are in this environment. But just as when we're sitting and our posture sort of falls apart, we find ourselves in all these strange things. Don't want to get into, oh, I'm no good at this, or oh, I'm bad. Just that glimpse of awareness. This is where I am right now. This is what I'm doing. Let's come back to center. Straighten our posture and breathe when we're sitting. Oh, I've fallen out of step when I'm walking. Just coming back, landing, re-entering, re-grounding ourselves in the activity of our lives, which is ongoing, which is unfolding all of the time. Coming back. Simple activity of walking. It seems ridiculously simple. But as we practice it over and over again, we see that it's quite difficult, even in its simplicity. Each one of us aspires to be present in our lives, present in our relationships. But when we witness, when we experience how very difficult it is to be present consistently in a simple activity like sitting, walking, we start to understand why we call this stuff we do Zen practice. It's not like this is a metaphor for our lives. This is our lives. There's nowhere else for us to go. There's nothing else for us to do but to engage with the unfolding activity of our life that's taking place right here, right now. The things that distract us, that attract us into our mind away from this unfolding activity, they're not different here than they are out there. It's the same stuff. The value of this practice is that it allows us to become more crisply aware, more familiar with the rutted paths, with the kinds of bait that we like to go for. It offers us a stable environment in which we can explore how we can continue to bring ourselves back into this unfolding activity. Bring us back into this activity that is our lives. Recognizing, again, that to awaken means simply to realize that no matter what we're doing, no matter where we are, there's nowhere else for us to go. There's nothing else for us to do. There's just this. So why not engage it fully?
Thanks for listening to the Living Zen podcast. If you follow Living Zen through iTunes, I would very much appreciate it if you would take a moment to let me know what you think about it by rating or reviewing the podcast, so that new listeners can also hear what you have to say. Thank you for your time and for your support.